So, have you ever really, seriously, wondered how your own finances stack up? It's a question we all kind of ask ourselves, right? Well, today we are doing a major reality check. We're going to jump into the real data from the Federal Reserve and find out what the net worth of the average American actually looks like.
So let's just get right to it with the big question. And hey, this isn't about keeping up with the Joneses or anything like that. It's really about getting a solid benchmark, a clear picture of where you are on your own financial journey. All right, first things first. Before we can start comparing anything, we have got to be on the same page about what we're even measuring. So let's break it down. What exactly is net worth?
It all boils down to this super simple but really powerful formula. Your net worth is probably the best single snapshot of your financial health. And here's the key. It's not about how much you make every year. It's about what you've actually built. You just take everything you own and subtract everything you owe.
And here's a perfect example of how that works in real life. See, on the left, you've got your assets, the house, the cars, other stuff, totaling up to $560,000. Then on the right, you tally up your debts, that mortgage, the car loans, any credit card balances, which add up to $343,000. You do the math, and boom, your net worth is $217,000. It's really that straightforward.
Okay, so now we know the how, let's get to the what. We're looking at numbers for the average American household, straight from the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances. But here's where it gets kind of tricky, because average can mean two totally different things.
Whoa! Take a look at that number. $748,800. That is the mean net worth for a U.S. household. And if you're looking at that and thinking, wait a minute, that seems crazy high, well, you are 100% right. And there's a very specific reason for that.
So here's the catch. That huge number is seriously skewed. Think about it. You've got a handful of billionaires and multimillionaires with astronomical wealth, and they pull the entire average way, way up. It's just not a realistic picture of a typical person's finances.
Now, this is the number you want to pay attention to. For a much more down-to-earth picture, we look at the median. That's the number smack dab in the middle. Half of all households have more and half have less. And that number is $121,700. This is a far more relatable benchmark for the average American family.
But of course, that number isn't static. It changes a lot over a lifetime. You know, you can think of building wealth kind of like climbing a mountain. So let's take a look at how that journey plays out over the decades.
What's so cool here is you can literally see the arc of a financial life. You start out at the bottom of the mountain, under 35, with just under $14,000. But then, look at that steady climb through your prime working years. It peaks when you're in your late 60s and early 70s at over $250,000 before it dips just a little bit in the later years. And that low starting point makes total sense, right? I mean, if you're under 35, you're probably just getting your career going, you might be wrestling with some student debt, and you just haven't had decades for your investments to grow. And this is a big one we're about to see. You might not own a home yet.
Okay, get ready for this, because the difference here is absolutely staggering. The median net worth for a homeowner, $255,000, and for a renter, just $6,300. It's not even close. This one thing, owning an asset that grows in value while you pay it down, is probably one of the most powerful wealth-building tools there is for the average person.
So let's go back to that timeline for a sec. Remember that little dip after age 75? It is so important to see that not as a step backwards, but as reaching the summit and getting to enjoy the view. This is the reward. It's the whole point of saving and investing for a lifetime. You finally get to start spending some of that wealth and enjoying it.
But this brings up a really fascinating question. We've been so focused on this number, but is a high net worth really the ultimate goal? Or is there maybe a better way to measure financial success? Check out this comparison, because it changes everything. On the left, you've got someone with a massive $10 million net worth, but it's all tied up in their $8 million house and $2 million in cars. They're asset rich, but they still have to work to pay the bills. Now look at the right. Someone with only a $200,000 net worth, but they're happily retired because their assets kick off enough cash to cover all their expenses. So who's truly wealthier?
And that really gets to the heart of it. Maybe the real goal isn't just a big net worth number. It's financial independence. It's reaching that magical point where your investments, not your job, are paying for your lifestyle. It's about cash flow, not just what your stuff is worth.
So, if that's the goal, financial independence, then how in the world do you get there? Well, the data and common sense give us a really clear path forward no matter where you're starting from.
Here it is. This is the roadmap.
First, you've got to attack that high-interest debt that's just eating away at your wealth. Second, you put your money to work in things that grow, like stocks or real estate. Third and fourth are two sides of the same coin. Widen the gap between what you earn and what you spend. And finally, maybe the most important step of all, be patient. This stuff takes time. Building real wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. Consistency is absolutely everything.
So after looking at all this data and these steps, the real question isn't just about how you stack up against the average American. The real question is, what are you going to do with this information? So I'll just leave you with this. What's the very first step you can take on your own journey?